Hey everybody, it's Professor McDonald answering your questions on a Thursday evening. This question asks us to approximate the mean from this grouped frequency distribution. So we're going to go ahead and copy the data into Excel. And we're going to estimate the mean. So what you'll need to do, you can do this a few different ways, but the way I like to do it is to separate the class limits into two separate columns. So I'm just going to move my frequency column over a bit and then make a lower class limits and an upper class limits column. So I'm going to do the first limits, then I'm going to calculate the class width. The class width would be two of the consecutive lower limits, 55 minus 50. So 55 minus 50, of course, is 5. And I'm going to use that class width to make it a lot faster for me to populate the rest of these cells. I'm just going to do equals, click on the lower limit that I've already created and add 5. And I'm going to do that also for this one. Click and add 5. And then I'm going to select both of those and copy down. And then just double check that everything came through the way it's supposed to. Now that I have those in their own separate columns, I'm going to create yet another column, which is the midpoint of each class. So the quickest way to do that is with the average, or you can add them and divide by 2. So the average of 50 and 54 is 52. That would be the midpoint, and then I can copy that down. So this is going to serve as my X value, and my frequency is my F. So now I need an X times F column, and I'm just going to multiply each midpoint times the frequency. Do the first one and copy that down. Now, these are my two important columns that I need to finish this off. And what I need to do is take the total of each of these. So I'm going to sum all my frequencies. That will give me the sample size. And then I'm going to add up all my X times F products. And then I'm going to divide those. So my two sums, the large one divided by the small one, is going to give me the estimated mean. So 4,926 divided by 78. And there is my answer for the problem. And it wants us to give it to 1 decimal place. So I'm just going to round this off to 63.2. Here is our next question. We have the following data set here, and we're asked to find the mean, the median, the mode, and the mid-range. So the mean is easy. Again, we can use the average function in Excel. The median also, you can just use the median function in Excel. The mode, you can use, I think you can use the single mode option pretty successfully most of the time, but I often just figure it out myself because the mode is just the value that repeats the most number of times. So you look for anything that's repeating, and the only value that repeats is the 52.1. I think all the other values are distinct. Yeah, so that's the only one that has a frequency above 1, so that would be the mode. And if there's a tie, then you would say they're both the mode. So let's just say that I had this number repeating 3 times, then both 52.1 and 15.6 would be the mode. If no number repeats at all, there would be no mode. And it's not just repeating, it's whichever one is repeating the greatest number of times. So let's say that this number repeated twice, it would not be enough. This one beats it, so that would be the mode. Then the mid-range is the midpoint of the range, the minimum and the maximum value. So let's find this one over here because we're going to also need the max and the min in order to do this. So the maximum, you can probably visually discover what that is just by looking since it's a small data set, but this is convenient, especially if you have more numbers. And the minimum, so here's my smallest value and my largest value. And to find the middle of that range, the midpoint, that is the average of the max and min. Here's the next question. And the student wrote a note that they were having trouble getting this to copy. When I do it, I don't have any problem copying it. I know some students want to see these all in a column, so you can move them down. Just don't do it like I just did. I usually just keep copying like this. I'll just select them and then move them. So moving is with the crosshair cursor mode. So you can relocate them if you would like to. But to answer the questions in this one, again, you can just use the average function, the median function, the max function, the min function, then average the max and min to get the mid-range, and then subtract the max and min to get the range. And then there is also a standard deviation. So you don't really need to relocate all of these, but I just like showing you how you can if you want. But even if you keep them like this, there's a function for all of these, and I'll just show you the standard deviation is the only one that you have to be a little careful with because there's two standard deviation functions. There's one that's .s and one that's .p. So you need to make sure you know if it's a sample or if it's the population that you're dealing with. So here it says it was a sample data set. So I'm going to want to use the one that says .s and then just select all my values like that. All right, so that was the last question in my inbox. Hopefully you guys are doing great on lesson 4. I'll see you for next week on Monday. I'll be answering more questions.